Hey everyone, welcome to this month's Event.Gives demo. As you can see here, we are covering Run of Show. Now many of you may already know what a Run of Show is. If you've ever volunteered for an event or organized an event, you know that a Run of Show is just a timeline or sequence of events that will occur within your fundraiser. It's important when you're creating your Run of Show to include everyone from your staff and volunteers to your outside vendors such as your florist or your caterers, and then also your speakers and presenters like your auctioneer or MC, or if you're giving out an award, the recipient of that award. And lastly, you'll want to consider also your AV team. It's also important not only to include the main point of contact for each of these aspects, but also their contact information. That way you can easily reach somebody if there's any changes that need to be made, or if you need any answers to a question. It is all in one place. Aspects of your event, such as the logistics or responsibilities of individuals, as well as the technical requirements, maybe it be a sound cue or a lighting cue or a slideshow, all of that will be listed on your Run of Show. And then it's important to start your Run of Show really at the beginning of your planning process. This should be one of the first things that you actually begin to map out as you go through the whole planning process. So just know that while you may not have all the details right away, it will be an evolving project, and you'll be able to, again, keep adding to it as you have more details. Also during the event, assigning a point person to make notes on the Run of Show, and that way you can also make adjustments in real time. So we all know we have those friends that are a little bit more long-winded. Maybe that speech goes over a little bit. It's important to adjust for that speech overage timing-wise for the rest of your event. And then also after the event, it's a good going back and actually analyzing it post-event. So utilizing this as information truly or data for the next year's planning. Now, why is it so important to have a good and detailed Run of Show? Really, you want to have a smooth execution for your event. Think of just an airplane ride. You know what to expect. You know you're going to take off. You'll have a smooth flight, no turbulence, and you'll land in your destination. That's essentially what we want for your fundraising event. We want there to be a smooth check-in, again, a seamless process and no turbulence or causing any sort of distraction or anxiety. Sometimes if there's a time lag or if it's not running smooth, you always seem to notice those points of your event, and you can lose the audience's attention. It's important. You want to keep that momentum going and keep that audience engaged throughout your event. Your time management. So if there is a meal aspect, knowing how long it will take people to, eat their lunch or their dinner, and understanding that, you only have a certain amount of time in order to make all of it come together and, again, raise those funds in room. So definitely keep that in mind when creating your Run of Show, and you can always edit that in that planning process. And then lastly, your communication. By seamlessly communicating with your attendees, you are able to keep them engaged more seamlessly throughout the event. Now, some things to consider when creating your next Run of Show. It's really what type of event. Let's start there. What type of event are you planning on hosting? Is it a golf tournament, a luncheon, a gala? It's really important to understand that you may not be able to fit all that you'd like to in a lunch, or understanding how long it will take people to transition from the golf course to a dinner or an auction post golf tournament. So those are all things to consider in creating your Run of Show. And then also knowing your audience. It's important to know kind of where they're coming and where they're going. I know that sounds somewhat corny, but it's actually true. If you're hosting a luncheon during the middle of a business day and most of your audience, they're coming from work and they have to get back to work, that may actually cause a bit of consideration so that you can actually fit in all of those aspects that you'd like to. Maybe you are hosting a luncheon and you were intending on having a live auction, but realizing that maybe the time isn't going to allow for that given the nature of the audience. Same thing goes if you have a gala or a dinner hosted on a Friday night. It's important to consider, I know this sounds crazy, but traffic patterns or people coming from work and understanding that maybe the check-in might take a little bit longer. It's important. Again, that can make a huge difference in that first impression of your event itself. So making sure that check-in process runs smoothly based on your knowledge of the audience that you have in room. And then lastly, your goals. So we all know that you're there to raise funds for your organization. What is the main goal? Is it to gather everyone to explain what your message is? And again, that is going to be the forefront of why everybody's there. In that case, maybe you do host that paddle raise before the live auction. I know I'm treading in some sticky waters here, as that's kind of the age-old debate of, do you have the live auction first? Do you host the paddle race first? Again, what is your main goal? What is your main purpose for your event besides raising those funds and really kind of getting into, what do you want to highlight most? And that will actually influence how you have your run of show planned out or mapped out for your event. Also, aligning everything with those goals can actually help lead to maybe a change of event the next year. So maybe you're noticing that your event has become stagnant over the years and now you're ready to change it up. Looking back at all your previous run of shows, your previous events, your previous goals, really taking into consideration all of these things, whether it's the type of event, audience, or your fundraising goal, and considering that in order to plan your next event. And lastly, how can event.gives help? Well, right off the bat, we have our lovely event description on all of our event sites. So this is a place that you can utilize, you can customize it, utilize that space in order to communicate what the timeline of the event is, maybe what's the message. All of that can be included there. And you also have a captive audience. Once they do navigate to your event site, that's one of the first things that they'll see on there. And next we have our event messaging feature. This is one of my personal favorite features. You have unlimited event messaging, meaning you can communicate throughout your event, pre-event, even post-event. So it's important to use that feature and have it aligned to enhance your event. We certainly want to keep in mind there is such a thing as sending too many messages. You don't want to compete with everything that's happening in the room, whether it be your video that's playing or your speaker. You don't want to distract from what's actually happening. However, if you can absolutely send out messages to let people know that a silent auction is closing, or don't forget to get your raffle tickets, you can use all of those types of messages in order to enhance your fundraising efforts. And then lastly, we do have an event blast messaging best practice guide on our website, so definitely check that out. One of our best practices is just to assign one person to those messages, so work that even included in your run of show, and have that be a responsibility of somebody. Lastly, definitely reach out to anyone on our customer success team. We are here to help answer any questions you have about run of show or event.gives. Schedule a call with us anytime. We would be happy to talk with you and hopefully work with you and see you at your next event. And that's it for this month's demo. We hope to see you next time.